The message hit me like a freight train. I'm in love with someone else. I want an open marriage. I stared at the screen for what felt like hours, my heartbeat hammering in my ears. She'd been my everything for 15 years, and this was the final blow, the one I hadn't seen coming. In her mind, she was free now, but she didn't know that I'd already made a decision. The trap had just been set. I've always considered myself a good man, a steady husband, a loyal friend. We had a life, a beautiful home, 2 kids, and a marriage that, at least on the surface, seemed like the stuff of fairy tales. Julia and I were partners in every sense, navigating the ups and downs of life together. Or so I thought. I used to believe that marriage was about trust, and that love could overcome anything. But then came that awful day when she dropped the bombshell. I'd been away on a business trip, working to provide for us, and when I returned, I could feel something was off. She was distant, her smiles less frequent, her eyes avoiding mine. What happened? The questions lingered like a fog in my mind, but I had no idea how deep the betrayal ran. The day she told me about the open marriage was the moment I felt my world crumble. It wasn't just the words she said, it was the casualness in her tone, the air of finality in her voice. I remember asking, "Are you seeing someone?" And she nodded, a hollow expression on her face. My stomach twisted. "I've been seeing someone for months, Jack," she confessed. "I thought you'd understand. I thought this was the only way we could both be happy." Months. That word, echoing in my mind, turned everything upside down. The woman I thought I knew, the woman I built my life with, had been living a lie. As her words settled, I felt a cold fury rise within me. Betrayal isn't just about a kiss or an affair, it's about trust shattered beyond repair. And she wanted me to accept it. But I wasn't about to become some passive victim in her twisted little experiment. No. I wouldn't let her think she had control over me. I was about to turn the tables. For the next few weeks, I did my best to appear calm. I didn't scream or cry. I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction. Instead, I started digging. I began by asking her questions about her lover, about their relationship. I could see the unease in her eyes, but she didn't think I was onto her yet. She mentioned his name once in passing, and that was all I needed. My phone became my weapon. I didn't just want to know who this man was, I needed to understand everything about him. His life, his wife, his family, his habits. I tracked him down like a hunter setting a snare, and I found his social media profiles, his workplace, and most importantly his wife. Her name was Kate. And she seemed blissfully unaware of her husband's infidelity. Every day felt like a battle within myself. I'd wake up next to Julia, trying to hide the disgust building up in my chest. She'd kiss me goodbye, not knowing that I was working behind the scenes, slowly unraveling the life she had so carefully crafted. I reached out to Kate through an anonymous account. I couldn't let her know who I was yet, but I had to plant a seed. The more I learned, the clearer it became, Julia wasn't just indulging in an affair. She was building an entire second life. And if I was to survive this, I had to become smarter than her, craftier. The first crack in her facade came one night when Julia tried to kiss me, a fleeting attempt at normalcy. But there was no normalcy left. I pulled away. "I'm not sure I can do this anymore," I said, my voice quiet but firm. She froze, unsure of what to do with the sudden distance. "I thought you'd come around, Jack." "I really did," she said, her voice tinged with disappointment. I let her think that. I let her think she had one, that I was broken and compliant. But inside, I was focused, determined. I'd already planned the next step. I began reaching out to Kate again, this time from a different angle, planting seeds of doubt. I didn't tell her who I was, but I carefully wove a narrative, one of a husband who was deeply in love, a wife who was hiding things, a man who wasn't as trustworthy as he seemed. Days turned into weeks, and still, Julia never suspected a thing. I continued to play the dutiful husband, working late, staying out of her way. Meanwhile, I set up a meeting with Kate. I needed to see her face to face. The moment arrived one Thursday afternoon. I met Kate at a CAF. She was skeptical, guarded, but I could see the curiosity in her eyes. I didn't introduce myself immediately. Instead, I let her talk, let her tell me about her life, her marriage. It's been tough, she admitted, wiping away a stray tear. I've been so focused on our kids that I didn't notice. I didn't notice how far away Daniel had grown. Daniel, Julia's lover. The man who thought he had me fooled. I had all the evidence, all the pieces, but Kate needed to see it herself. Do you know where Daniel was last weekend? I asked, my voice measured. She looked at me, confused. What do you mean? He was with my wife, I said, letting the words hang in the air. I could see the moment it hit her. Her eyes widened, her hands shook. She had known something was wrong but had never allowed herself to face the truth. I don't understand. You're saying. I'm saying he's been lying to you just like he's been lying to me, I interrupted. And I have proof. I slid a folder across the table. Inside were photos, text messages, and recordings of Daniel and Julia. Kate's face turned ashen as she scrolled through the evidence. I can't, this isn't real, she whispered. It was. And it was about to get worse for both of them. 2 days later, Julia had no idea what was coming. I called her lover's wife, Kate, one last time. I'd promised her that we'd both confront them together. Kate arrived at our home that evening, and I could feel the tension in the air. Julia was confused, but not yet scared. I'd told her I wanted to talk about our marriage. She thought we were going to reconcile. But when Kate walked into the living room, her face a mirror of fury and betrayal, Julia's world shifted. Why didn't you tell me? Kate's voice cracked. Why didn't you tell me that you were the one who was stealing from me? Julia stood, her face pale. Kate. But there was no escaping now. The truth had been laid bare, and for once, Julia was the one in the spotlight, her lies exposed for all to see. What happens now? Julia whispered, her voice weak. You face the consequences, I said, my voice low and steady. You'll answer for what you've done, and I'll be walking away. Alone. Without you. The divorce was final within 6 months. I sold the house, moved into a small apartment, and found peace in the quiet of my own life. It wasn't easy, there were days when I still missed Julia, days when I couldn't shake the hurt. But I'd learned something powerful through all of this: betrayal doesn't have to define you. I stood tall again, stronger, wiser. I'd taken back my dignity and my future. And for the first time in a long time, I was free. Sometimes, the worst thing that can happen is the thing that sets you free. You just have to be willing to break the chains.